And right now, we welcome Bellator Lightweight Shane Kruchten to the Fightlete Report, the Roar Rhino. He'll be fighting Lance Gibson Jr. at Bellator 253. Check it out Thursday, November 19th at CBS Sports. And catch his prelims fight exclusively on YouTube that day. And he trains at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, San Diego, 12-5. And he's competed also for World Series of Fighting and is a military Marine Corps veteran. And you're originally from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So happy late Veterans Day to you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Talk about finally getting the fight lined up with Lance. I know you were supposed to fight him back in August. Obviously, COVID-19 got in the way. But while fighting during these times, it's really tough. Obviously, we had some canceled fights. All the promotions. Nothing is, sacred when it comes to this, unfortunately. But talk about, finally getting that fight lined up.
Yeah, so, I was actually a late notice fill-in for Lance's original opponent back in August. They called me, and it was less than a 2-week notice, and I said, sure, I'll fight him, no problem. And I've already been in the gym. I have my own spot out in California that I train at normally. Everything's been closed down. We haven't closed down. We've stayed open. We've defied the governor's orders. Just, because health and mental health is really important during all this. And we know that. So jiu-jitsu saves lives is kind of, one of the hashtags I use all the time. And unfortunately, one thing led to the next, and I popped on a pre-fight test. So the fight got pulled. I wrote Lance a private message and I said, hey, all the respect to you, thanks for accepting the fight first and foremost. If you want to run it back, we can run it back. And lo and behold, boom, there you go. Bellator stayed up on top of it the whole time. I was getting messages from Rich and his team, making sure that I was good to go. They made sure my health was always good through my manager. It was really cool, to have such a support system. When I came back from everything, I was back at the gym as soon as possible, and here we are, a few months later, and I'm we're about to fight.
Definitely. I mean, it's great that you have the opportunity to get the same opponent as well that you were trained with for in Lance. Obviously Lance Gibson Jr., who just came off the Bellator debut, first round TKO, young guy. How do you feel about going to the matchup, and have you felt like you've just really identified with him the past few months since you've been trained to fight him?
I don't, I'm one of the fighters, I don't really train specifically for anything in particular. I've been around for so long. I train that for everybody. Because at any moment your fight could be canceled. Any moment a new fighter could come in. Obviously there's things that we have to work on for certain fighters. There's things that we have to work on for certain aspects of the game. He is very young. He's very young and up and comer. I have nothing but respect for his stepmother, who's a former world champion, and his father, for that matter. He comes from a great lineage, and I got a lot of friends that train right outside by his house, up there in Canada. And, they own a gym close to him, but, I got a lot of respect for him, and I know where I was when I was his age and in the sport. So it's really cool to, fight a young guy again. The last time, unfortunately, it didn't end so well for me fighting a real young kid, but hey, at the end of the day, I'm part of the old war horses that are still here in the sport after 15 years, still being able to throw down is a blessing. And that's what I'm here to do.
Definitely. And we're also excited to see you because we haven't seen you fight in a while. Yeah. So, even though during a pandemic, are you looking to build consistency in fights scheduled moving forward after this fight?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the last few years of my life has been an absolute chaotic mess. I went through a really tragic divorce before the Pico fight. I ended up fighting at Madison Square Garden. I fought Jeremy Mahone and won. That was right during the divorce. Unfortunately, I was dealing with child custody. I was dealing with, a whole bunch of bad stuff that really just clouded my mind and never allowed Shane to train the way I should or be the person I should be. So unfortunately, when I went into Pico, I should have never taken the Pico fight. All hats off to Pico. He earned that win 100%. I thought I had it dialed in for the Daniel Strauss fight. My brain was about 60% there. My wife now that I'm with, Eurena Norville, is also a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And, I've been so blessed to be with somebody like that, know the weight cut. 3 weeks ago, I cornered her for her LFA fight, and it's like, it's really cool to be around somebody like that can build you up and make you a better man in every aspect of life and the gym. Something I've never had in my life. I haven't really surrounded myself with the right people. I've always surrounded myself with, just good training. But I just needed something. There was an element missing. And I think I found that element. I feel better than ever. 35, I feel like I'm 28 again, and I'm training hard. I've had one of the hardest training camps I've had in over, probably, 7-8 years. So, to be able to say that is really cool. Being able, to have my priorities right, my marital state is right, my mental state is right, my PTSD is under wraps, with, suffering from the military. And, it's really cool to go into this knowing that the best version of myself is coming forward, unlike, my Daniel Strauss fight or my Aaron Pico fight. And yes, I would like to, barring any injuries, shoot, I mean, it's only November. I mean, I'd like to run it back as early as January, maybe February.
Sounds good. I mean, it's great to you have, goals set up in front of you, and also you seem to be on the right track. Talk about the changes you had to adapt during the fight week. I know obviously you're in quarantine, you have virtual meetings, virtual media like we're doing right now. Is that different from you? Is that different?
Yeah, man, this is weird to me. So I'm, it's funny too, because just a couple months ago, my Daniel Strauss memories came up, from Daniel Strauss, and you got the media cameras in your face, and it's kind of cool. This whole Zoom stuff, man, it throws me off. I've gotten to become kind of a pro at it with my daughter's Zoom meetings and going to school on Zoom. I'm not an electronics guy by any means, gosh darn, but I look forward at this stuff and I'm like, okay, well, this might be the future, and the only thing is, like, even LFA, I was expecting to corner my wife in front of no fans. When we got there, they ended up allowing fans. It was like 100 people in the stands. And it literally reminded me of one of my first pro fights when it was at a bar in 2005. There was nobody there, so it was kind of funny. But unfortunately for here, it's only going to be staff. So, it's literally a all out fight in a gym when everybody's dead silent. So it's kind of cool. It's going to take some adaptation. I've had all my fights in front of, some massive crowds. I mean, sold out MSG. I mean, I've fought all over the world, so it's kind of cool to, weirdly fight in front of nobody.
Well, they'll all be watching at home as well. So
yeah.
It won't, obviously you'll still have the fans, and I'm sure you'll have like a lot of people reaching out afterwards.
Yeah.
Talk about what do you use for recovery after each train session?
So I've always been one of the guys that, I've been fueled on gummy bears and hate my whole life. Picked that up out of the military. That was always my recovery. My manager, my last fight, my manager started making me, get sponsorships, like real sponsorships. So like Vital Proteins had really taken care of me. And they got me on collagen and all this stuff. And I was like, what is all this stuff? And it's kind of weird because I no longer have knee pains. I don't have joint pains. Being 35 and saying, when I was 33, I could barely freaking wake up in the morning anymore. And if there was times then, my heart, I was like, maybe enough's enough. But now I'm like, nope, it's not enough. Traeger grills ended up picking me up. So I've been, eating very, very right, very healthily. My wife, making me eat the right stuff. And it's cool when you're only as good as the food you put in your body and the people you surround yourself with. So, in coming out of recovery, out of a training session, and my wife's like, here's your shake. And I'm like, I've never done that. So it's really cool. It's really cool to have a health conscious wife.
Definitely. And that's definitely going to take you far where you need to go. Your teammates also find the same night, the Maori Kid, Jay Wilson. So he's fighting Sergio DeBari. How excited are you to see him perform as well?
Man, having Jay as a teammate, is such a blessing. A young kid that has so much potential. When I'm in the gym with him, man, it reminds me so much of me. It's just drive, and don't take your foot off the gas. I love the kid. I would do anything for him in a heartbeat. I've been his punching pad, his wrestling dummy. I've been whatever I can for this guy. And to be on the same card with him, is just, it's a weird, it's a really cool blessing. When you respect somebody so much, even with the age difference, I look at this guy and I'm like, yo, I'll go to bat for you 110% of the time, anytime. So I'm excited. I think he wins that fight via KO 100% of the time. He's going to knock this kid out. I don't think, he's ready. And also, Jay has everything else dialed in, and, weight's not going to be an issue. Nothing's going to be an issue this time.
Definitely. And how did he find 10 Planet with you guys? Because I know he's from New Zealand, I believe.
Oh yeah. So I don't, I cross train at 10th Planet.
Okay.
I'm at Alliance. Yeah. Alliance Jiu-Jitsu. I'm an Alliance black belt.
Okay.
So I went back to my roots. This camp was all, going back to my roots, and they always say when you start to do it, vary away from your path is when you start to get lost. I started to get lost going to all these other gyms and going all these other places. I had to go back to where my love was and where my heart was. My heart's at Alliance. My heart is jiu-jitsu. My heart is that gi world. So I went back to it, and it really just rewoke me up. And there's a great Mark Voorhees is over there with Johnny Faria and Jonix, and they just have such a program that just made me just understand and re-love what I've already loved for years. So I know him and Johnny, Johnny's the one that helped solidify that and bring JJ and make that all happen. I don't know all the ins and outs. All I know is I think it's one of the best things that Johnny could have done, is basically being like a father figure and helping JJ get into where he's at. And now look at JJ and look at Johnny. I mean, that's, you want to talk about a friendship that is unparalleled. It's right there. I respect that so much.
For sure. And talk also about, fighting for Bellator MMA. How different is it from most of the events you've competed on? I seem like the only thing they're missing different from UFC is they don't have the fight of the night bonuses, which I know would be a great addition, but, definitely the top tier promotion that you could be fighting at.
Yeah, man. I've been, like I said, I've said it twice, I've been fighting this game 15 years. I fought in Gladiator Challenge. I fought in different leagues all over the country, in the world, for crying out loud. But World Series of Fighting, I was signed to PFL. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. But when I asked for my release from Ray Sefo, he let me go, and Bellator picked me up same day. And I ended up getting the Pico fight. So yeah, I've been with Bellator since. I plan to end my career at Bellator MMA. I don't plan anything past Bellator. The family, atmosphere within Bellator, the love and respect you get from every staff member, every fighter is unparalleled. I've been to UFC events, and they're cool and all, yay, giddy. But I'm sorry, I'm not a conformist. You're not going to tell me what I have to wear and tell me I can't wear something else. I will never. Hey, that's cool on them if that's what they like. But Bellator here, they know that at the end of the day, I have bills to pay, and they understand that sponsorships are huge. They help me. They don't only help me, but they help my family. I'm able, and also, as you know, from many previous interviews, I donate whatever, I donate large portions of my purse to veterans. So, it's huge to me, and Bellator makes that all possible.
For sure. And that's a great promotion. And that's a great point you made as well with the actually outside sponsorships that they support. I know Eurena Norville, you mentioned her, your wife, she did fight recently, pro debut. It didn't go her way, but how encouraging did you feel about her future just off that fight?
Yeah, I think the athletic commission in Kansas is completely, they're winners. But they need to learn what MMA is and what kickboxing, the difference. Right. So, but no, my wife did really well, man. She's one of the best 115 pounders in the world. Some of the best in the world lost their first fight. Chris Cyborg, you just keep going on. Anderson Silva, you just go on and on and on about who lost her first fight. My wife is she's an absolute savage. I think that, the world knows her name. Some people know her name. They will know her name even further. Come fast. She's an old woman in a young woman's sport that has a hell of a lot more skills. She's about to turn 34. She's going to freaking kill me when she hears that I said that on this podcast. But I love her, and I will support her dream as far as she wants to run that road. It's an honor to be her coach and her teammate and everything. It's just an honor.
Definitely. And then one could argue that it would be time for UFC to bring that division in, atomweights.
Well, actually, she's a 115er. So
she's 115.
Right. She's able to. Yeah, she's ready to go, man.
All right. And then also talk about what can we expect from your fight on Thursday, November 19th? How do you feel like you're going to get everyone back home on their feet, watching at home?
Well, so everybody back home already knows, when the War Rhino comes to fight, the War Rhino comes to fight. And win, lose, or draw, people know that I fought. I think you're going to see the War Rhino of the Madison Square Garden era. You're going to see the War Rhino of previous fights before that. Right head, right mind, right soul. Everything locked up finally.
Right.
There was always like one little piece of the puzzle missing for my last couple of fights. And unfortunately, hey, it happened. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm a warrior. I went out on my shield. I did what I had to do, and I'm not scared to battle. But you're going to see Shane 2.0, as my manager puts it. I've went back to the drawing board. I've stayed busy. Everybody thinks I just took time off and stayed lazy. Man, I've been so active, redefining so many different parts. I became a student again, instead of the instructor. Even though through my own academy, I cut my time back to only instructing 2 days a week. And that way I can go be a student. And I've been a student 4 or 5 hours a day, every day for over a year now, learning, just absorbing and taking in. And it's something, after so many years in the sport, a lot of people, they want to be the alpha. I said, hey, anybody want to be the alpha? Go, you want to be top, go ahead. I just want to learn. I didn't care who I learned it from. Please just tell me. So, you're going to see different things that maybe you never saw before. And that's how I'm going to excite people.
Sounds good. I appreciate you taking time to be on the Fightlete Report. The War Rhino, Shane Kruchten. Make sure to catch his fight early on November 19th. CBS Sports is going to be where Bellator 253 will be on, but his fight will be exclusively on YouTube on the same card. And of course, shout out to your gym as well, Maori Jiu-Jitsu as well. So, shout out to, of course, the Marine Corps as well. We appreciate you being on the Fightlete Report. And if there's anyone you'd like to thank, go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody that's ever had my back, from the start till now. Because of you, I do what I do. Also, remember all the fallen military members, past, present, and future. Because of them, we're here, and because of them, we're doing what we do. Whether it's here or in Canada. I know Canada just passed their military, kind of their observance day. So just mad love to all military members, that served, their cause for their country.
Definitely. Well, best of luck to you, Shane. I appreciate you being on the show. Anytime.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you.